SwitchBot has come out with a brand new Lock Pro, and there is a lot to talk about. First thing is that it supports Matter, which is going to be great for you Apple HomeKit users. There are so many different options for unlocking this lock. Starting off, you can use your Apple Watch. Adding a keypad will allow you to use PIN codes, fingerprint readers, and NFC tags. We also have the traditional option of just using your house key and the ability to lock and unlock from the app. Now, last year, SwitchBot came out with a lock. It was hands down the easiest lock I have ever installed and used. But some people weren't a big fan of the look of the lock. Personally, it didn't bother me because of the ease of installation, but SwitchBot did take that feedback, which is why we have a more professional looking lock in the SwitchBot Lock Pro. This lock here is a retrofit lock, meaning that you are just replacing the inside portion of the door and the outside portion is going to look the same. It's going to use the same keys as you had before and not give any indication that you have a smart lock on the inside. Now you do have the option of adding a keypad. If you do want to add a keypad to this, you can stick that on the outside of the door, which will connect to the lock. So if you do have somebody who doesn't have app access, they can use the keypad. You can also use a fingerprint reader on the front of the keypad touch. Now, SwitchBot has sent this lock out early to me to take a look at before the official launch date. So I do want to thank them for sending this lock out and sponsoring this video. Now let's take a look at what comes in this box and some additional accessories that you can pick up with it. All right, here is what the lock looks like. So we've got a dial up front for locking and unlocking the door. On the top here, we have got the battery compartment, and this is just going to be a magnetic plate that goes on the front. So with the batteries here, it's kind of cool because we can pop these batteries out, and it comes with 4 AA batteries on each side, but we also have the option of using rechargeable batteries. So for an additional charge, you can actually pick up the dual power pack. And what this is going to be is, well, rechargeable batteries. This is what they look like right here. Very similar to what we're seeing with the actual battery pack that comes with it. But if you look on the side right here, we got USB-C charging. So you can charge these guys up. One's going to go on each side. So we're going to push it in there, flap it down. We've got a B side that is going to drop in there. Flip this one down, and now we've got rechargeable batteries inside of here, which is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap back on, and we're all set. Taking a look at the back right here, this is going to be our dial that we are going to get connected up. We've also got screw holes on both sides, and that is going to be for this plate right here. So we are going to have a plate that we're going to screw onto the door, and here is where we're going to put the screws on either side. There is rubber here on the back to protect the door, which is always nice. We've got 2 sets of screws. We've got a fatter set, and then these are going to be a little bit skinnier. And then we've got our tiny little screws that are going to screw into the side right there. Now, down here, we have got some tape. So if you don't have any tape, you can actually tape the outside of the door lock so that way it doesn't fall out if you need to do that. We have got our sensor right here so it knows if the door is open and closed. And we've got an extra double-sided sticky. Now, there is one on the bottom right here, but it comes with an extra one if you need to use that. Here is going to be the cylinder adapters that you can use. So depending on the door that you have, you'll pick one of these adapters, you'll stick it onto the door, and then it's going to slot into the back of the lock right there, which is going to allow you to use it. We've got our Allen wrench and then a tiny screwdriver. Now, in addition to this, I'd recommend also picking up the keypad. So this is a keypad that does go outside. With this keypad right here, not only do you get all of the buttons that are on the front right here, but with this keypad, it does have a fingerprint reader down below, which is really nice. And this keypad also does come with a card. So if you do want to use a card like this, kind of like a hotel, you can swipe it in front of the keypad and it'll unlock the door if you don't want to use maybe your finger or the actual keypad itself. So lots of functionality that we're getting out of this keypad. You can take a look at back here, and that's where your batteries are going to go in. All right, let's get this puppy installed. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to take the tape that came in the box and I am going to tape the lock to the front of the door. This is because when we take out those screws, it could fall out. So to prevent that, we will tape it up. Next thing I want to do is on the inside of the door, I am going to turn my deadbolt going up and down so I can expose both screws. I'm really only taking out 2 screws for this thing. It's going to be a pretty easy dismantle and install. So I'm going to take these 2 screws out, and if you remember, this box came with 2 size screws. So I'm going to compare my old screw to the 2 different sizes that came in the box and match it up. For me, I'm going to go with the fatter one. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the mounting bracket on the inside. I'm going to set that in place. It is adjustable. And then from there, I'm going to put in the 2 screws that I need and get this tightened up, making sure that it is level as I am tightening it down. All right, the next thing that we need to do is pick the correct cylinder adapter. This is the rod that is coming through the lock that should be exposed on the inside. Once we get that in place, we're getting close to finishing up. We're now going to take the lock and we are going to connect it to the mounting bracket. Now here is where we need to have that cylinder adapter match how we want our lock to turn. So I want the red dot on my turn knob to be all the way to the left to show that it's unlocked. So that way when I turn it to the right, it'll lock the door. It gives me a better visualization of if the door is locked or unlocked. Now the last thing that we need to do is we need to put in the hex screws on either side. Now I initially tried to do it with a screwdriver, not realizing it was the hex screw. So do keep that in mind when you're putting these tiny little screws in on either side, that you're using that hex tool that came with the kit to get those locked into place. It makes it a lot easier than trying to use a Phillips head screwdriver. Oh, and let's not forget the last part of connecting the magnet to the door. This way it can tell if the door is open or closed. All right, now that the lock is installed, we can open up the door, take off that blue tape, and we're good to go. Next thing we're gonna do is insert the batteries and get it set up in the app. All right, so setting up the lock is pretty easy to do. You're gonna hit the plus sign up in the top corner. You're gonna click add devices, and then you are going to scroll down to find the device that you have. We're gonna do that for the lock. We're also going to do it for the keypad here. Now I have already set mine up, so I'm gonna back out of here. If I take a look down here, I can find that I've got my SwitchBot Lock Pro, and then we've also got the keypad right next to it. Now we can see next to the Lock Pro up in the top corner right here, if I tap on that, that is kind of like a quick access for locking and unlocking that lock. So I don't have to go in and actually open it up, but let's go ahead and tap in there. We can see that the lock is now unlocked. I'm gonna go ahead and I can just tap on that big icon right in the middle and we can lock it back up again. So below that we have a few options. We've got our keypad option, which I do have my keypad touch connected to it there. We've got our remote, which is not paired if you do have a remote. And then we've got an emergency unlock and we've got our logs. Now, I like that they have the keypad option right here within inside the lock. Previous versions, it did not have that there, so I would have to back out. I'd have to then tap on my keypad touch to get into the different settings there, but I don't need to do that anymore. So let's back out. We're gonna go back to the lock and we can see right here for the keypad, I can just tap right there and it's gonna bring us right into the settings. From here, you can set up your different passcodes, you can set up fingerprints, you can set up your NFC card tags. I'm gonna go back here to passcodes and I'm gonna click on the plus sign. We can set up a permanent person, you can set up a temporary, you can set up a one-time use, and you can even set up an emergency passcode. Now the passcode does have to be at least 6 characters. You can type in as many characters as you want. Maybe you have somebody looking over your shoulder and you don't want them to know your code. You can type in a bunch of different numbers as long as the actual passcode is somewhere embedded in there. It'll work and open up the lock for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel out of that. I have set my wife and myself up with passcodes. I've set myself up with a fingerprint. Back out of there and let's go to the settings really quick. From here, you can get in and do basic settings. We can check alarms. So these are different alarms that are going to happen for your lock. I've turned both of mine off. Something that I really like is the auto locking feature. So I have mine turned on and after 1 minute, it will automatically lock the door for me. You can pause the auto lock. Say you have company coming over, you don't want it to lock on them. That's probably a good idea. Scrolling down a little bit more, we have got our cloud services. So if you do have this connected to one of the SwitchBot hubs, which I highly recommend, this is going to open up a whole new world of allowing this lock to connect to the internet. And from there, you can then sync it up with your Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, IFTTT, and even your Apple Siri shortcuts. So highly recommend doing that and getting that set up here. So let's back out of there. We've got some more options for setting up NFC tags, firmware, battery options, and then device information. All right, now that we've got over some of the features of the lock and all the different ways that you can actually get it unlocked, let's go ahead and test those out. All right, the first thing that I want to do is I want to test it out with my smart home voice assistant. Echo. Unlock the front door.
What's your voice code for front door?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Unlocking. Hang on. The front door is unlocked.
Okay, so we all know that you can use the app to lock and unlock the front door. With this lock, you can also use your regular key to unlock it too. But let's talk about the keypad touch and all the different ways you can use that. Now we do have the lock set up for it to automatically lock itself after 1 minute. But if you are closing the door and you want it to instantly lock, you can push the lock button on the keypad itself and it will instantly lock the door. The next thing that I wanted to do on this keypad was test my PIN number. PIN numbers can be anywhere from 6 to 12 characters long. So we're going to go ahead and enter my PIN number and you're going to hit the checkbox at the bottom to unlock the lock. Voila, easy enough. Next, I wanted to test out the fingerprint reader. I used the app to program my fingerprint into the touchpad. Using my thumb to unlock the door was easy enough, and now I'm in. Now let's not forget about that NFC card. It makes me feel like I'm at a hotel. I hold the card up to the touchpad, door unlocks, and as easy as that, I'm in. Now I mentioned this earlier in the video, but you can also use your Apple Watch to get the door unlocked too. So overall, I think that the SwitchBot Lock Pro is a great lock, especially for the price point that it's coming in. It's about half of what we're seeing from some of the major names out there. Now, I used the original SwitchBot lock for probably about 6 months and I loved it. I thought it was great. Even though aesthetically a lot of people didn't like it, I liked it. This lock right here is just kind of like the upgraded Big Brother version of that, it being a pro version. And like I said, I like it, been using it for a while. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you are in the market for a smart lock. Now, before you go making your purchase, you gotta up the level of this lock by connecting it to the SwitchBot Hub. Check out this video over here for the SwitchBot Hub 2. If this video is helpful, give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.